exciting. Welcome back to MurdersADrag. Let's go ahead and call it season 2 because I've been gone since December. First off, if you are actually watching this, hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Ever since I started this podcast back like a little over a year ago, I've always joked about like, oh yeah, and by the way, you can't see me, but I'm wearing the biggest wig that you could ever imagine and 7-inch stilettos. But I kind of wanted that to be a reality rather than just some fantasy that I was talking about with you guys. And I also realized that many people listen to these podcasts or watch videos to relieve stress and anxiety. It builds sometimes from listening to too much murder or watching too many things or researching too much, and sometimes that helps to calm some anxieties because you have some weird sense of preparedness. I also came across this channel on YouTube, Bailey Sarian. Sorry, lost the name in my notes there for a second. She has this channel called Murder, Mystery, and Makeup, and she goes ahead and tells her true crime gig while she paints a mug. When I saw her, I was like, okay, I want to do that too. So I sent messages, I sent tweets, I have the receipts. I doubt she's going to respond to me. It's different. My podcast is different. It's been around for about a year. It's all based on queer true crime, hosted by a drag queen, coming from a queer perspective, you know, all that good stuff. I tell ya, things are gonna be easier when I get a new camera. So, this week, we're back into podcast mode now, everybody. Get ready. Oh, I lied to you. I lied to you all once again in my life. I think it's important to stay upfront and open about mental health, especially in the position that I'm in with this podcast. And after my last episode, Trauma Extravaganza, in December, I told you guys that I had learned I inadvertently watched a snuff film as a preteen and to get back into therapy. It inspired me to get back into therapy and work through some of my own issues. Returning to MurdersADrag now, stronger, better. I'm ready to rock, ready to rumble. Let's do this thing. This one in particular happened back in December, and I was going to do an episode about it come January. However, December was a rough month, and January seemed to follow suit, and then all of 2020 seemed to follow suit even better. I don't like to, half do these videos or these podcasts. See, I always called it a video. I knew it was gonna one day become videos, and especially when it concerns somebody who's no longer with us and somebody who deserves that attention to detail, and I want to be able to give that, and I don't want to be at half my capacity when I'm trying to tell people stories who really deserve to have their stories told. That's my entire point of having this channel, this podcast. Kevin Richard Bacon was born in Schwartz Creek, Michigan in November 28th, 1994. By all accounts, he was a happy-go-lucky kid. He had a lot of room in his heart for the outcasts. The people who didn't quite fit in could always kind of be friends with Kevin because Kevin was there to accept anybody with open arms, no matter what. He was an artist in his community. He loved makeup and hair. He actually worked at a salon and specialized in like crazy colors, kind of like this, which is really hard to do, and I have a lot of respect for people who can do colors like that, like Kevin. He's a very talented hairdresser and just artist all around, loved makeup, wore makeup himself, was great, very good, very talented. He really knew how to work those unnatural colors in the hair. I've tried some of the colors that he had, and they've not looked good on me, but every color he did looked good on him. Every single one, because he knew what he was doing, which is kind of an important part. Kevin graduated from Schwartz Creek High School in his hometown. He was a graduate from the class of 2013, and after he graduated, he actually went on to get his cosmetology license from Sharp's Hair Academy in Grand Blanc, Michigan. By 2019, Kevin's life was really starting to take shape. He was doing everything that he planned on doing, everything that he wanted to do, trying to kind of get right in his head with the self-esteem. It's hard, especially in the gay community. It's easy to get into a place where you don't think that you fit in because there's these impossible standards that have been set by our own community and media surrounding our community, and there's these stereotypes, and it's very hard to kind of find where you fit in with all that. When you first get exposed to this culture, you're like, wow, there's a lot going on. Where is my place here? So I think that's kind of where Kevin was at in his life. He was rooming with his best friend. It's the ideal situation for a 25-year-old, honestly. He had all of his ducks in a row, you could say, and he was attending university in Michigan as well to further his education. Like I said, the self-esteem and self-image really runs rampant in the gay community. There's a thing that they call gay loneliness, which is a strange phrase when you think about it alone, but it kind of refers to the fact that most gay people are afraid of putting themselves out there, because we've put ourselves out there so many times with coming out, and put ourselves out there so many times with being very flamboyant, or being ourselves. We put ourselves in danger, we put ourselves out there, and sometimes we get hurt mentally, physically, emotionally, and after a while you build up these walls, and you don't let them down for many people, so a lot of people end up alone, or with very small groups, socially, romantically, usually nothing. Anyway, according to Kevin's roommate and best friend, Michelle Myers, Kevin struggled to have love for himself for a long time. He had just recently really started with his self-affirmation and just working really hard to love the skin that he was in. He would get tattoos, very colorful tattoos, to kind of help that, to be able to look in the mirror and see beauty. Because like I said, he was an artist, and he loved the colors and loved everything colorful, so that was kind of his way of helping himself get out there, helping himself out of that dark place. Like many gay men, myself included, Kevin had an account on Grindr, and he was just looking for dates, looking for hookups, what else? And in 2019, meets a man. This is where the dirtbag Mark Latunsky comes on the scene. In 2019, Mark is 50 years old, he's living in Michigan, and he's on all of the gay dating sites. So Mark is using Grindr and Scruff and these apps as well, and he's advertising his leather fetish and his very expensive leather gear that he has, and that's how he's kind of luring people in with this expensive gear. He's kind of the bear type. He's got beard, he's scruffy, white supremacist eyes, you know the type. So this Mark character dude barely ever uses his real name and goes by Oilykos Kai Lucas. Olykos. Oilykos, I'm assuming? I'm not sure. But that's his handle on all of his social media. Probably because he had a lot of stuff in his past that he didn't want people to start looking into. Mark was actually married to a man, Jamie Arnold, for 3 years. Jamie claims that he ultimately left Mark after not being able to take Mark's constantly having men over for sex and, digging up that dirt on him about his ex-wife. Speaking of whom, prior to his marriage to Jamie, Mark had been married to a woman with whom he had 4 children. His wife actually took him to court and charged him with custodial kidnapping of 2 of his 4 children, which means he took them without permission. There was no custody set up for him to have. He just took them. He kidnapped them. He was placed in outpatient care after this charge was brought up because they found him unfit to stand a trial. He was at Mark's house and ran away terrified because Mark, quote, spooked him. Christmas Eve 2019, it's 5:23 p.m. and Kevin tells his BFF/roommate Michelle that he is going to meet a guy that he met from Grindr and that he would be home later. Pulls out, and that's the last time anybody sees him alive.